2008, right? That was conduct before June 4th of 2008 when she was a teenager, right?
Yes.
Okay, when she was a teenager, isn't it true that the defendant had such anger towards her mother Sandy that she treated her like crap?
Yes.
And isn't it true that they argued all the time, right?
Yes.
And isn't it true that during that time, the defendant hit Sandy for no reason, right?
Yes.
And this was all before this June 4th, 2008 incident, right?
But it's irrelevant for the diagnosis.
Am I asking you that? Isn't it before?
Well, it's before, but it's not relevant.
I know you say it's not relevant, but D does say, sir, persistent symptoms of increased arousal not present before the trauma. Doesn't it say that?
Yes.
And as indicated by two or more of the following. On a
Correct.
separate occasion.
Judge, objection. May I approach?
Yes, you may approach.
And sir, with regard to the move from Phoenix to California, that was sometime in April of 2008, right?
Yes.
She was no longer a teenager there, was she?
No.
And in that instance, there was a circumstance when, as you read her journal, and you told us you read her journal, the defendant's mother, Sandy, came out here to help her with the move to Yreka, right?
Yes.
And during that time, Jodi got very upset and yelled at Sandy, right?
Yes.
And isn't it true that the defendant and Sandy never got along, right?
Correct.
And Jodi, or the defendant, was always mean to Sandy, and no one knows why, right?
Correct.
So, sir, I know what you indicated was, to you, an important factor here was that there was this telephone call that was made after June 4th of 2008, correct?
Well, from what I understand, there were several.
All right, several telephone calls that were made after June 4th of 2008, right?
Yes.
You never heard a recording of those calls, right?
No, I did not.
Those were related to you by the defendant, right?
Yes.
And this is the person that lied to the police initially, you know that, right? Said she was never at the scene, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your objection.
Relevance.
Overruled.
And this is the same person that filled out the PDS and gave misinformation as to the triggering event, right?
Correct.
So, if you take a look at that, then all you have are 3 telephone calls, and yet you have other people saying that there were these issues involving the defendant and her mother, right?
We discussed that at great length, and it was made clear to me that the focus of her anger and the intensity of her anger were elevated. But I might point out to you that that's one of 3 criteria that I selected.
Right. I understand there's one of 3 criteria, and we're going to get to the others. But additionally, isn't it true that at some point, one of the times that they were together, they were sitting down for dinner or something, and isn't it true that the defendant got mad and kicked Sandy
Objection.
for no reason?
Previous objection.
Overruled.
Correct?
I read that, yes.
For no reason, right?
Well, that's what it says, yes.
Yeah. And you you are looking at this and you're saying that you're the person that